Nico? So, Hobbs doesn't want to see us. It's like Detroit round here, and it's going to be dark soon. Shall we head back?
No! We need to convince Hobbs to let us in.
I decided to give it another blast.
For crying out loud, will you leave my van alone?
Sorry, just need a quick word, Mr. Hobbs. Sorry to bother you again, Mr. Hobbs, but... this Hobbs guy doesn't exactly like visitors.
There must be some angle we can use to talk our way inside.
I'd pounded that door until my hand hurt. We were going to have to find another way to attract Hobbs' attention. Climbing drain pipes was something I preferred to avoid. I decided to give it a...
You two again? What is it this time?
He probably wouldn't care. Hello there. We'd like to discuss some restoration work with you.
Then make an appointment. I'm busy.
This is crazy. We need to get in there and take a look around.
We need a good cover story.
I decided to give it another blast.
What now?
Afternoon, Mr. Hobbs. We're from the model agency.
About blooming time. I'm on a deadline. You better come up. About time you two showed up.
Hello, Mr. Hobbs. I was just wondering if...
Can it, Goldilocks? I don't have time for chit-chat. Just get undressed behind that screen.
Undressed?
That was the deal. An extra 20 quid because I need you with your kit off.
The studio was freezing.
And as for you, darling, No need to get undressed. I've got a vivid imagination, so I'll just use that. Either way, just go sit over there on that rug and give me your best belly-pock floozy. That's perfect. Just hold it there.
Nico made for a good distraction. I just needed to figure out how to get a look inside that portfolio. A variety of liquor bottles, all empty. I wasn't going to mess around with that wiring. I didn't need to sit. It was time for action. I had no need to walk out onto the balcony.
Hey! Leave that dial alone. The heating gobbles up all the power and the circuits can't take it.
Sorry. I turned the thermostat down again.
Oh, you! Get down from there, it's private.
Oh, sorry. Wow, an old Bofson Wang stereo. I hadn't seen one of those for years. The record had stopped. It was Jasmine Breeze by the Hairy Lobsters. Hobbs seemed to have a thing for 70s psychedelic jams. Burroughs, Dick, Rand. Hobbs liked his literature heavy and paranoid. I turned the volume up a few notches. I turned the volume up a few notches. I turned the volume down again. I turned the volume up a few notches. I turned the volume down again. I turned the volume up a few notches. I turned the volume down again. I didn't want to play around with the negligee. Those days are long gone. But I wondered who it did belong to.
My, if it isn't George Stobart.
Lady Piermont! Oh, my. You're...
Naked? Of course. As an artist's muse, one often finds oneself en pelotas. Now, George, don't be shy. Come here and give me a big hug.
That day was the day the nightmares had begun. Trapped, smothered, choking on lavender.
George, darling, pass me my robe. It's terribly cold in here.
Oi, what are you doing with a blooming robe on? God help me, but you're supposed to be naked. I've got a deadline to meet.
Well, you won't be meeting any deadlines with manners like that. And besides, it's freezing in here.
Lady Piermont and I had met before. She was larger than life, in every way. It was a shaky old elevator that would once have lifted goods between the floors. So how are we going to get a peek inside that folder?
Perhaps your lady friend over there could help.
Lady Piermont? Well, she has many, assets, but subtlety isn't one of them.
Who said anything about subtlety? We need to distract Hobbs, and she's certainly distracting. No, excuse me, but you're casting a shadow.
Lady Piermont.
Oh, George, be a darling and sort the heating out in here.
I'll see what I can do.
Hey! I've told you, don't mess with that thermostat.
Sorry, but Lady Piermont is cold. I thought...
Look, pal, I know it's brass monkeys in here, but the wiring in this building is ancient, and the fuse box won't take it. Her Majesty will just have to get used to chapel hat pegs.
Lady Piermont, Mr. Hobbs won't let me turn up the heating.
Well, we'll soon see about that.
Oh, crumbs.
If you do not adjust the heating, I shall refuse to cooperate.
Lady Piermont, it's the circuits. They won't take the strain. You know what old buildings are like.
In which case, I see no reason for this session to continue.
Whoa, Lady Piermont, let's not be too hasty. I'm sure I can accommodate your needs.
Good. Perhaps you can start by letting George here turn up the heating.
Oh, go ahead then, but be careful. The power in here is temperamental.
I turned the thermostat up as far as it would go. I wondered if the suspicious wiring could be used to my advantage. I wasn't going to mess around with that wiring. Excuse me, Mr. Hobbs.
Oh, what do you want? You're supposed to be sprawled naked on that rug with the family jewels out.
Yeah, well, about that. Could I just ask you a couple of questions first?
Blow me. A model who's shy and chatty. It must be my birthday.
I hear you did the restoration of that painting that got stolen recently in Paris?
I might have. It's a fine piece. You can smell the pain in every brushstroke.
Do you know a Russian called Medovsky?
You know Medovsky?
Everyone in the London art scene knows Medovsky.
And everyone in the London art scene who likes their kneecaps knows when to keep their trap shut.
Excuse me, Mr. Hobbs.
What now?
How long have you been using Lady Piermont as a model?
Using her? I can't get rid of her.
Yeah, about this naked sprawling...
Oh, what's up? Afraid of the shrinking effects of a cold warehouse?
No, it's just...
First time? Little embarrassed? Well, if it helps, we can all get naked.
No, definitely not.
Well then, what are you waiting for? Let the monkey see the nuts.
We had a saying in the Stobart family. If a job's worth doing, then do it with your pants on. But I thought you were a restorer, but you're working on this painting from scratch.
Well, yeah. Look, some clients want a painting that they don't own, restored from scratch, if you know what I mean.
No, I don't.
Don't worry, Sunshine. Ignorance is bliss.
Tell me more about La Malediccio.
Why all the interest in that picture? We're not at the Slade now, Sonny Jim.
I have a letter for you, Mr. Hobbs.
From the model agency. Bane in my life, models. Speaking of which, why have you still got your clothes on?
How about a top-up, Mr. Hobbs?
Oh, don't mind if I do.
Excuse me, Mr. Hobbs.
What now?
Are you sure you won't talk about Medovsky?
Are you deaf? I already told you to drop the subject.
Tell me more about La Malediccio.
Why all the interest in that picture?
I'll let you get back to your painting.
You're too kind.
A word, if I may, Lady Piermont.
For you, George, I'm all ears. How can I help?
How did you come to be working with Mr. Hobbs?
Wheresoever a bohemian needs a helping hand, George, mine is always at the ready. And what better way to help than to expose one's flesh to the sensuous brushstrokes of such a talent?
Do you know anything about a stolen painting called La Malediccio?
Oh, is this another of your adventures, George? How delicious. My heart's a tremor, George. Do you think Wilf is mixed up with this?
Maybe, but I need you to act normally until we're sure.
Mum's the word, Georgie.
So what have you been up to since our last encounter, Lady Piermont?
Charity work, dear boy.
Oh, any particular kind?
Young men, George. So many have lost their way. I try to guide them best I can.
Can you keep a secret, Lady Piermont?
I am the very soul of discretion, as you know.
You see that portfolio by Hobbs's table? We need to take a peek inside.
Be still, my beating heart. Just give me the nod, and I'm putty in your hands.
How about a shot of this, Lady Piermont?
Oh, no, dear. Reminds me of husband number 5. Or was it 6? Terrible bore, anyway. I'm strictly a gin girl. Ice and a slice and a whiff of tonic.
What do you think of this, Lady Piermont?
Not much, Georgie. Not much.
Would you like a sniff of this?
I'd rather not. Gives me 70s flashbacks.
What do you think of this, Lady Piermont?
Not much, George.
What do you think of this, Lady Piermont?
Not much, George.
That's all for now. Wary of any more life-changing surprises, I decided against exploring behind the screen. I'd better not touch the thermostat again. I wasn't going to mess around with that wiring. I didn't need to sit. It was time for action. It was the same folder that Madovsky had taken from his cupboard. It was the only lead to the painting we had. I needed to look inside. But Hobbs was watching it like a hawk. A word, if I may, Lady Piermont.
For you, George, I'm all ears.
We're still trying to figure out a way to distract Hobbs and take a look in that portfolio. That's all for now.
Hi, what do you think you're doing?
Oh, sorry. I was just going to take a look at some of your pictures. You're very good.
I know, and that portfolio is private. I'm not paying you to gawp around my studio. Get your blooming clothes off!
Sorry.
Hey, I'm still drinking that.
How about a top-up, Mr. Hobbs?
Thanks, but I've already got a glassful.
Nico had suggested that Lady Piermont could help in some way. She just didn't say how. The fuse box was emitting a sinister buzzing sound. It should have been condemned years ago. I turned the volume up a few notches. I turned the volume down again. I had no need to walk out onto the balcony. A variety of liquor bottles, all Putting anything other than good whiskey in a man's glass would be a... I turned the volume up a few notches. I'd better not touch the thermostat.
Oh, you! Get down from there. You'll trip the power in the whole building if you're not careful.
Blowing the power would certainly have distracted Hobbs. But the elevator alone wasn't going to trip the whole system. A word, if I may, Lady Piermont.
For you, George, I'm all ears. How can...
Lady Piermont, we need your help.
How thrilling! What do you need? Subterfuge? Leisure domain?
Actually, I just need you to step onto that lift behind you.
Oh, but of course. Is this good, George, darling?
Perfect. Now, just stay right there.
Oh, not again.
I was too late to catch a look at the portfolio. I wasn't going to mess around with that wiring. I didn't need to sit. How about another whiskey?
That's smashing. Pour away.
Now was my chance. It was one of Hobbs' sketches. More of Hobbs' sketches. The model. More of Hobbs' sketches. The model looked familiar. Impressionist sketches. Well, it wasn't La Malediccio. But it did appear to be a study for an element of the painting, the Ouroboros. There was something different about the image in the center. I figured the sketch might come in handy, so I took it.
What the heck are you doing with those? They're private papers. Huh?
Well, that was fun. Just like when you were a private Dick, George.
So, you're not models?
No, Mr. Hobbs.
Well, you can't be a copper. You're not stupid enough. So what the blazes are you doing in my studio?
We're investigating the theft of La Malediccio.
I told you I just restored it. That's what I do. Restore paintings.
And these sketches?
Studies done during the restoration. Nothing more. I've got nothing to do with what happened after that painting left this studio. How was I to know it was going to get Henri killed?
Hang on a second. How do you know Henri's dead?
Look, he and I went back a long way. Le Lézard Bleu was on the ropes, so I got the painting into his exhibition. Nothing like this was supposed to happen.
We're not accusing you of anything, Mr. Hobbs. We just want to get to the bottom of this.
I get that, and I'll help you however I can, but this mess is way above my pay grade.
How come you needed to make so many sketches of the painting to restore it?
Restoration's not about throwing a load of paint around. It takes research. The surf is a complicated painting. A lot of subtext, a lot of symbols.
Why would anyone want to steal La Malediccio? It's not exactly a famous painting.
True, but there is something special about it that's hard to describe. There's conviction in every brushstroke. Whoever El Serp was, he had a tale to tell. The symbolism is deeply religious.
We have reason to believe that Madovsky is mixed up in the theft of La Malediccio.
Eh? What would he gain from stealing his own painting?
We have strong evidence that Madovsky is not the real owner.
You'll have a hard time proving that. Medovsky has a full set of provenances for the painting. It traces its legitimate ownership all the way back to the painter.
Why didn't Medovsky mention him?
Because they're not with him. Henri's got them. Or had them.
And Henri is dead.
So ask his partner.
Lane?
Lane, yeah, Lane. Look, pal, you're wasting your time looking for conspiracies here. And you're wasting my time if you're not actually going to get naked. Go get the provenance from Lane, and everything will turn out hunky-dory.
But it also puts Marquez's story into question.
Not my problem, darling. Now both of you, get lost. I've got a painting to finish.
And we have a critic to interrogate.
Someone's lying, but who?
Is it the gangster or the old Spaniard?
The painter or the art critic?
I need to head back for Nave's reconstruction.
What about the evidence from Medovsky's house? Will you give it to Nave?
I think I should. And I can put the squeeze on Lane. Ask him about the provenance.
Good. I've got lunch with Ronnie tomorrow. This story is hotting up, and I want to make sure he keeps me on it.
Taxi? Here I was again at the crime scene. Inside the gallery, I could see lots of activity. Nave preparing for the reconstruction, no doubt.